Building a house is something I said I would never, ever do with my husband again. If you've been there, you know how stressful this is. So we're going to talk about the difference between building your house on sand and building your house on rock. And for any of you who know that verse, you know what happened in Matthew 7:26 through 27. The winds came and the rain fell and they buffeted up against that house on sand and it fell apart because that's what the foolish man did. He built it on sand. Now, the wise man builds it on rock. So we're going to talk about that today. So stay tuned. I've got some very applicable things for you if you are in a situation where you are supporting a loved one in addiction, be it a husband, a child, a parent. If you are supporting them and you are feeling exhausted, tired, and worn out, and your joy is being taken away, let's move you into where you are building on a rock and you do have joy. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back. So I told him I would never build a house with him again. And we built the first time in between two children. So we had just had one who was coming on almost 3. And then we were having our second one as we were building. And man, it really activated both of our addictions, both of our fears, both of our habits of abandonment. It just dumped everything on us. And to say that it didn't go well was an understatement. There was lots of hurt, of gnashing of teeth. It was one of the few times I have ever seen my husband cry. He was so frustrated with me, who kept saying, well, why are we doing this? And what are we doing over here? And what's next? And what do we need to be doing? I was in full control mode. In fact, I was such in control mode that I was making him crazy. My almost 3-year-old was crazy. It was just crazy. My husband was working so hard. He was going to work all day, and then he was general contractor for the house at night and on weekends. I mean, it was huge. And I am 5-6 months pregnant. We were trying to do this, but our isms were getting in the way. We were both full-blown in active addiction. Different, it looked different, but we were both checking out with the things that were nurturing us so that we could function, but were creating a sick nightmare. Now, have you been there? Have you been to that point where maybe your addiction is food, maybe there is an alcohol addiction, maybe it's who knows what it is. Maybe it's running. Running can be an addiction too. If you're checking out and not being present for those who are in your circle, if you just can't make it work and you keep shutting down. So if you're watching this, it means that either you've got a person in recovery or they've just passed recovery and you are trying to be supportive, you're trying to be there with them, and you're feeling a little lost. And maybe you are exhausted by the moodiness of your recovering person. Maybe you're baffled by the emotional adjustment. You're struggling with the idea that sobriety didn't make it all right. Or maybe you're having angry outbursts of your own. I know that I have been there. That's been an absolute truth for me. Or maybe you're ready to call it quits. Maybe there were times that I just didn't want to come home anymore. It was just too difficult to be there. So maybe all of this is happening for you. And what I know is I had 2 little ones I had 1 little one and 1 on the way. Mine was feeling anxious and lost. And that often meant we were having a few issues around behavior and not listening. In fact, this was the time that I lost my kiddo in my own yard. How do you lose your kid in your own yard? But I did. I had to call neighbors for help. And, maybe you're even getting confusing advice from family members. So if you are feeling like your whole household is built on sand, here are some words that I want to quote from scripture. So hang with me. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like the foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. This is how I felt after we built our house on the 20 acres. 22 miles from town, I was totally isolated. I had a almost 3-year-old. My newborn was getting ready to arrive, and my husband was working, and nowhere to be seen. We were leading totally separate lives. Is that something you can relate to? Have you been in the addiction area long enough that you've created community separate from your addicted husband or child or parent, that it just doesn't feel like you're in the same family anymore? So we're building this house together, we're building this dream, we're actually having a baby together, but it doesn't feel like we're connected at all. So in my family, we did everything without daddy. We did meals, we did bath time, we did playtime, we did camping, we did vacations. We even went across the country from Colorado to Connecticut to visit my husband's mom without him. He just could not make time. And this was after the house was built. My 2 little men and I managed the Denver airport on our own. And if you've ever been a mommy and done that, it's doable, but it's difficult. So I had a 15-month-old and a 3.5-year-old, and we did the whole Denver airport. I was living like a single parent, just completely separately. My husband was not around, and I really, you true single moms are in my prayers. It was hard. And if you can relate to that, you know how hard it was. So my whole prayer was for my husband to get sober. And he did 5 days before Christmas in a jail cell. Prayers were answered, right? And bam, my life went from living in a house built on sand to a full California mudslide. I'm not kidding. We didn't go from sand to rock. We went to a full mudslide, totally unmoored and wondering how the bills were going to get paid, how the children were going to get cared for, how was I going to deal with 400 chickens, and learning to drive the plow truck. Wow. It's just, I hope that you are tuning in with us, that yes, all of us have issues. Your problems are as big for you as mine were for me. I'm looking at this going, sobriety was supposed to solve this, and it didn't. In fact, it made it worse. So hopefully you are not there. Hopefully you don't have 400 chickens to feed, 2 horses, 2 kids, a dog, and a 1.5-mile driveway to plow in the middle of winter around Christmas time. It was amazing. And hopefully you're on firmer footing. And I am prayerful that your recovery process didn't involve cops, courts, restraining orders, and you are stepping through this. But if you're not, if you feel unmoored, if you feel shattered and exhausted, and like sobriety was supposed to solve all of this, there is a way to start building on the rock. So Jesus said, build your house on the rock. And why did he say that? If you know the parable, he says that the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against the house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on a rock. So here's what I need you to hear right here is, it wasn't that things didn't happen, right? It wasn't that the rain didn't come and that the floods didn't come and the wind didn't come. So even after sobriety, here's the key, even after sobriety, you're going to have to deal with life on life's terms. There are still going to be fusses. There's still going to be messes to clean up. There's still going to be rents and mortgages to be paid, children who act out. There's still going to be drama at work, at home, at school. These things are still going to be there, but you will have built your foundation on a rock instead of on sand. And so when we are running to resources, to addictive behaviors, substance use, overeating, checking out and mood altering by scrolling, all of those things are keeping us from building our foundation on the source because we're running to resources. So I know 89% of you are saying, Tanya, I know I have been a Christian all my life. I built my house on Jesus, and yet I am still exhausted, burnout, and doing too much to save my marriage and my family. And I'm going to feed back to you. I bet surrender is not even part of your vocabulary. And I imagine you would say to me exactly what I said to myself, to other people. Surrender. If I surrender, there will not be food on the table, clean sheets on the beds, and there will be no family. Well, let me ask you what you really want. If this is what you really want, a full partner, a responsible mate, healthy, loving kids, and no more ugly fights, if you, like me, and so many of my clients, if your heart aches for your family and you want to enjoy time together, you want to linger at the table and tell stories, relish supporting each other and each other's ideas and interests instead of putting each other down, calling names, telling people they can't do that or it's not worth it. If you want kind, uplifting words spoken in your home, promises kept in large and small matters, and responsibilities divided, and God praised and honored, and your home to be, this is what I really wanted, a safe, soft place to land mentally and emotionally for everyone in the family, not you doing everything for everybody to make it safe for them while it's not safe for you. Let me ask you, which statement fits you better? I have tried everything and just given up. I want change, but have tried doing it on my own without any real results. We have tried and we have attempted and we've done some church groups and we've watched some videos and we are just trying to be nice to each other, but there's no change happening. Which of those? I'm exhausted and giving up. I've tried, but I'm not seeing results on my own. We have tried together, counseling, groups, churches, going and doing, but we're still just roommates, raising kids and paying bills. What if there was another way? A way that did not require everyone in the family to participate? What if this way was prayerful, firm, and delivered the results you were looking for instead of a list of promises from a cookie cutter program? So let's go back to that list. Even if you just got a few of these things, a responsible mate, healthy, loving kids, no more ugly fights, uplifting and kind words spoken in the home, desire to linger around the table, enjoying time together, and just being able to know that home was a safe, soft place to land. Could you live there? Is that a place you'd really like to live? How do you change that? Well, let's start with the first thing. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God placed you in a family because he clearly put you there with his hand. So what needs to change? Where are you the change agent in your family? If your family changed exactly the way you wanted, would you feel joy? Do you know exactly the way you want your family to change? God promises that his yoke is easy and his burden is light, Matthew 11:28-30. Your family was never meant to feel like a stone around your neck pulling you under. Let me say that again. Your family was never meant to feel like a stone around your neck pulling you under. And that's when folks come to me for coaching because they're like, Tanya, I'm drowning. if I keep doing this, I'm going to either have to leave or crawl out of my skin or go to bed and just not get up again. Are you there at that point? Is that where you're struggling? So here's the thing. Why not take Jesus up on his promise? You can change. Your change will require others to change, even without having them in the program. Women who want to finally heal their marriage, their family, and support their husbands or children through recovery, this is something for you. I've designed a Dancing with Joy program. This is a new framework, a new process, and here's the secret sauce. You can do this by doing less, by getting clarity, by taking ownership, building structure, developing a culture, and then reevaluating the outcomes. It's one little step at a time to build your house on a rock rather than building it on sand. I've given you a little bit of information, but I have a much longer seminar about this, a workshop that gives you the 4 + 1, 5 ugly truths about what will continue if you don't do something. And then also 3 steps on what you can do right now to make changes. I would love to put that in your hands. That's just the next step. You can do a couple things. You can DM me on Facebook, Tanya Gioia, or you can shoot me an email, or you can comment below and say, hey, I'd like the workshop of rebuilding your marriage after the chaos of addiction. This can also work with children as well, especially teens to adult children. Go ahead, catch me on Facebook or put a comment here on YouTube. I will send that out and you can just take a look at it. If you want to reach back out to me, that's great. But what I know is building your house on sand is going to keep moving into a mudslide, just like mine did. And you'll learn more about that, the 400 chickens, the two children, the 1 dog, and learning to drive a plow truck. You'll learn more about that in this workshop, and you will come out with tools that you can use. So I want to gift this to you. No strings attached. So many people helped me, worked with me. I would love to offer you the opportunity to at least take 2 pieces away. And that's what my clients are saying is, hey, just watch this. It will change your life and how you think about your family. So if you're on the Sober on Purpose podcast, thank you so much for listening. I am looking forward to hearing from you on one of the other platforms, and we'll put links below on how to get there. Oh, before I forget, we also have a Rise Above Facebook group. So Rise Above Addiction is about support, about prayer, about getting nurtured, all those things that you need for yourself. It's a private Facebook group. You can share what you need to share. You can pick up resources in there. We just want to be available for you to help you build your house on the rock so that when the winds come, when the floods rise, when the water seeps all around you, you are standing there solid. You are standing there not doing everything for everybody, but peaceful, calm, ready to support, and also taking good care of yourself. Because remember, you are creative, resourceful, and whole, fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you that way. It's your birthright. No giving that up. So be sure and check the links below. Come and see more about us in the Arise from Addiction Facebook group. And again, I will look forward to talking to you.